Hi, favored ones. Welcome to Soul Talk. Our guest for today is Mykey Cuento. He is a professional game designer, and he's a good friend. Long time that I haven't talked to him. But then he has been doing so many interesting things. He has designed Pawikan Patrol, the card game. And he's an adjunct professor for game design in Asia Pacific College. He's also a game design consultant for Google PH, USAID, and Save the Children. So this is one conversation that I'm really, really interested in, and I wish to share it with you. So let's all welcome Mykey. Hi, Mykey.
Hey, Brendy, long time, and
I
it's
know.
good to see you again. Even through screens. And thank you for
Mm-mm.
having me over on Soul Reflections.
Saka, well, this is Soul Talk. Well, it's also connected kasi the
Soul Talk.
Soul Reflections is my own learnings, but Soul Talk is learnings of other people. But then, alam ko sobrang busy ka eh. Ano ba yung pinagbisihan mo last week?
Well, not really just last week, no. Like it's just an endless stream of things that I do.
Ang
So
daming
because
blessings, no?
actually, tama ka, no. Those are actually blessings because for the most part, I'm a freelance consultant. I'm a freelance artist. I belong in the creatives industry where we really have to take on several different projects at once from different clients, and they will have different demands overlapping. And for many of us in the industry, we just move almost seamlessly from one project to the next, or things that we do in one project sometimes find transfer of skills, and sometimes even transfer of staff from one project to the next. Parang if there's an illustrator that I'm working on in a particular game, one at the conclusion of that project, parang ano lang, there's just a 3-day transition. There's just a 3-day lull, and then suddenly I'm calling that illustrator again. Hey, yeah, let's get started on this other thing. Are you still okay? So it's kind of like that for me. So one project after the other across different across different clients. But
Di
it's
ba
it's
yan
fun.
nagsasabay-sabay?
Nagsasabay-sabayan.
So it's not one project to the other project. It's really all, parallel. Parang
They are
ganon.
parallel, but I guess I did say that they're overlapping, but
Mhm.
that overlap can actually be like this. So it's like this.
Oo.
So I'm approaching the tail end of one. That's usually the timing, or at least halfway done through
Mhm.
one.
Mm.
That's when I get started on the next, in the proposal stage, or at least in the prototyping stage. It's it's something I had to get used to in order to survive during the pandemic. Taking care of myself, and then there's my mom, and of
Mm.
course I have my other things that I do to take care of my mental health during that time.
Mm. Oo. Oo nga, you're into miniature painting, right? I
Yeah, I
saw
am.
some of your posts. Ang ganda ng pag-blend mo ng colors.
Thank you.
I didn't know that you have that gift.
Well, like I say to many game designers and also tabletop wargamers, so my miniature painting kasi is done in the service of tabletop wargaming. So tabletop wargaming, you're moving, it's like chess. You're
Mhm.
moving or it's more akin to toy soldiers. You're toy soldiers mixed in
Mm.
with chess, and then they're doing things on the board. You're simulating a battle, and but that's the gaming part. A huge part of the hobby, or at least of the sport, I do consider it sport, no, is the craftsmanship. At any competitive tournament, you get awards for best general, or most number of points, other achievements, but there's always room for best painted, for best craftsman. And you are not allowed actually to participate in professional events for tabletop wargaming if your game pieces are not painted a minimum of 3 colors.
Wow.
So so there's that. Tabletop wargaming is both sport and art, and it's something I try as much as possible to balance. That I want presentable pieces. I want presentable pieces on the tabletop because I believe that it's part of the experience. And I'm also using the lens of both a game designer and someone from the creatives industry. That when you're like when I design a game, I want to make sure that it's not only fun mechanically. It's not just about I do this, you do that, stuff happens. I want to make sure that people are immersed in the experience. Just like with Pawikan Patrol, I want people to feel that they're not just putting down cards. When they look at the cards and things happen, I want each of those moments to tell a story from the images to what actually happens on the board. Same thing when I approach my professional gaming. When I join tournaments, I really want a well-presented army. And my hope as well is that my opponents also do, because I mean, it's not just about the competition, it's not just about winning, it's actually seeing a story happen, seeing it unfold on the tabletop, and then there's an audience who also watches. You want them in on the fun.
Ano, that's beautiful. That's a totally a new world for me. When you talk about it, you're really a good storyteller. Parang ako, parang ang saya
Thank you.
na parang sumali ata dyan at makinood kung meron talagang storya na nangyayari sa tabletop. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that it happens. Akala ko yung tabletop games are just board games. I didn't know that you really have those miniature figures that you move around.
Well, every time I play, tuwing naglalaro ako, talagang Mykey Cuento ako sa mga kalaro at mga nanonood.
Interesting. How do you keep all this energy? Kasi I know that, ewan ko yung mga creatives kasi ibang kakilala ko talagang, not as fun. Alam mo yun? Parang madalas moody. But here you are right now, you're perked up. Or
Okay.
hindi laging ganito.
See, I guess it also has to do with the part of the industry that I belong to. I mean, I guess you could, there are typical stereotypes when it comes to different creatives. You have your illustrators, your painters. Okay. Oh no, I hope my friends, my artist friends don't get mad. But the stereotype for them would be introverted. They keep to themselves and just focus on their art. But that's also wrong actually, because many of my illustrator friends, many of my painter friends, they really go out a lot. Like they get in touch with nature, they immerse, because that's where they draw their art from. They just have very limited energy for socializing or with too many people, but they do. And getting into a conversation with my illustrator friends, with my painter friends, reveals how much of the world they've seen and the perspectives they have in life. Because life informs art, but art also can influence life kung ikaw yung viewer. For myself, I am in the experience design specialization. I don't know if that's an actual term, but it's something that at least us in our circles talk about. I'm an experience designer. So I really need to talk to people. I really need to test prototypes in front of people or at least online using a simulator. Meron kasing board game simulator. And it's very important for me to observe what people are doing, how they're behaving, how they feel about the game, what they're saying, their body language. When they look at the cards, like I really medyo creepy, no? Pero when I stand up and hover, I check how they look at the cards. Parang, oops, natatakpan ni Brendy yung yung icon dito. She can't see the element. Tapos when the cards are fanned out, when the cards are fanned out like this, oops, so this is how people hold their cards. I need to So how does this factor into the energy level? I think I'm motivated by, so ang haba ng preface, no? But here's the punchline, so to speak, no? I draw my energy from people and how they respond to the experiences that I design. Is my intention being communicated properly? And I am motivated by the desire to see them happy, to see them satisfied, or kung di man happy, at least draw a strong reaction from them. Because games can tell stories. Not every game can do that, but for myself, also as a activist of sorts in environment, in education, in history, I want my games to tell stories. I want them to evoke a response from people. That motivates me. That gives me energy, because after that session, after that encounter with that player, so I love testing with strangers. I love Most of the time I test with strangers first because they'll likely have an objective view. They don't know me, and they don't need to be polite. But if they're polite, I also, at least I have my game designer friends na talagang babasagin nila ako. But that motivates me, because to move from one person to the next, from one cafe to the next, from one tournament to the next, looking at people, getting gauging their reactions, and it fuels my design. It fuels my creative machinery in my brain. What did he say? What did she feel? How did she feel about it? Parang ganon. So it's really just that. The responses. I just can't get enough of it, I guess. I always want to see. And I learn something new every time. So yeah, that's
So no wonder, you're called the experience, designer. Kasi everything is an experience. And there is a story behind everything. So, ang galing na napaka-observant mo. Nakikita mo yung mga little things, the nuances. That's not, that's really a gift. That's really a gift to be observant.
This is why I need friends, because I observe other people so much that sometimes I can't observe myself. I really, that's the drawback, no? Now, I'm a guy who relishes feedback. It's part of our industry. Sanay ako dyan. Sanay akong basagin. Sanay akong ma-criticize. Actually, madami akong haters, Brendy. And to all the viewers here, I guess everyone has that experience. I have a lot of supporters, but I have just as many haters. And I guess that comes with the territory as someone who's as public as I am. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I rarely apologize for anything. I just commit to atoning, to changing, diba? I'm more on the active approach. I let my actions speak for myself, but the most important thing for me is to keep around a set of friends, a set of companions, co-workers who are very honest with me, because they act as my mirrors. I spend so much time hyper-focusing on other people's experiences that I rarely have time to take a look at myself. And ganun din, sobrang busy. And that's why I value companions talaga.
So at least aware ka na you tend to focus on others more rather than you. So how do you take care of yourself then? Other than making sure that you have good people around you who could, act as your mirror.
Sige, so yeah, other than them, sige.
Oo.
To be honest, making time for friends Making time for friends, and even this very session that we're having, that will be broadcast. Right now we're taping it, but even this time with you, that we get to talk to each other, and you're also mirroring me. And I don't know, first and foremost, before I was a guest, I'm your friend. And
Of course.
yeah, and being this this is my self-care. Being with people, being with people, spending time with them. That's one. That's really the most important thing to me. The second would be the direct opposite, like the polar opposite. Um, I don't know if you remember, pero I really value solitude.
Yes, oo, definitely.
As much
As in,
energy.
ang tagal na nawawala.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. And the viewers, Brendy has known me for a long time, a long time, from our retreat group, in the Life's Directions retreat group. And shout out to those who are watching. I pour so much, and from that I have a very deep well. And the thing with me is I make sure to empty it talaga. No? Not some people say, yeah, you're burning out. Yes, that's a problem. I tend to empty the well. But I think I also need to empty the well so I can go down there and have some space, to be with myself. I think that's a paradox with me. It's as if I intentionally burn myself out, but I am conscious of it. Parang I I get to that little bit of puddle left at the bottom of the well where I can sit in and just enough puddle in the well to sit in, feel a little cold, under my skin. Okay na yun eh. And then I just stay there. I stay there. I spend a lot of time reflecting. But again, those are the times when I'm totally gone. and, and people know this, especially in recent years. Oh, nasan si Mikey? Parang boom! Diba? And then, wala na. But I guess that's my cycle as a person.
Well, it's good that you're aware of it, di ba? Para at least alam mo na, okay, I'm close to burnout. Yes, this is it. But then, time na rin. Malapit na rin yung time to enter that solitude. Yung, to refill yourself. Nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. If that's really your cycle, di ba? As long as it works, then that's all good.
Well, I'm a Brand. I'll acknowledge as well that it comes with drawbacks. Because when I'm out there, when I'm out in the world, I can be present talaga to people. I can be present to people. I can be there on demand. But when I'm gone, I'm totally gone. And that can also be a problem. I don't, as much as I value productivity, as much as I hustle, I'm also advocating. I'm also advocating self-care. It's a struggle for me to get to that space. So in a way, whenever I tell my story, I also preface it that, you know what I'm telling you, if you're inspired by it, thank you. But I want you to treat this as a cautionary tale of what would happen. And I have to be upfront. This kind of cycle that I have can be problematic. There are relationships of all sorts, whether it's family, friends, romantic relationships. All of those, they tend to bend to my flow rather than integrating seamlessly, which I think is not always healthy. People say, oh, it's okay for people to adjust to you, but I think for me the goal really is to integrate rather than creating compartments, creating pockets na parang, okay, 1 week I'm accessible, then 4 weeks I'm not. That kasi that's what happens usually. And that creates a break. No? That creates a big break in the flow of getting to know someone, in the flow of getting to know someone better, from growing together. No? And again, I'm talking about all kinds of relationships. And that's something that I'm trying to be conscious of. I think slowly now kasi actually despite all of despite the jillion things I do, I'm also learning how to say no little by little. Uh, drop this project, find some may parang ganun. I'm trying to slow down a bit because I'm not getting any younger, and this is I acknowledge that this workflow, this work cycle that I'm in can't be sustainable. It can't be sustainable. And I've seen the effects on the people around me, particularly at home. And also like friends, not industry friends, but friends, the people I really want to see, look forward to seeing, exchange stories with. And that right now is my goal. That right now is my goal. I think at a young age I've achieved so much, but I want to make sure I don't cross the event horizon. That event horizon of being so used to success, being so used to productivity, to hustle, that I would carry that into my later years. When people say, people would always say, just keep chasing after your dreams, respect the hustle. I do, but I'm always trying to be conscious of the cost. When Pawikan Patrol came out, I was 30 years old when Pawikan Patrol came out, and it was a endless roller coaster of things happening, media appearances, workshops, demos, events. Parang wow, is this the price of success? Is this the cost, the personal cost? And then
nag-stop nawala ang internet connection ni Mikey. But while we wait for him to come back.
it's something
I'm sorry, nawala. When you said that after Pawikan Pawikan Patrol came out, it was an endless activities. I think to promote it as well, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So, ano yung realization mo doon na is this a cause of success? Parang ganon?
Yeah. So that year was 2019, no? That year after my game came out. And that's when other projects started. I lost that year. And I sort of regret it because again, the pandemic happened in 2020. So 2019, I gave so much. I gave out so much and spent a lot less time with the people that I missed in 2020, in 2021. So there was no way I could have predicted it. Diba? None of us could. Well, I guess the scientists did, no? But in hindsight, that's something I think all of us should watch out for, because you just never know. No, you just never know. I lost friends. Like actually lost friends, no? Like we either the time and physical distance and then wala na, or they actually passed on. And I keep thinking on that. I keep thinking on that year that I lost, that entirety of 2019, and the people I could have spent more time with in that year, that 2020 and 2021 took away from me. So I reflect on that all the time and make sure that I never repeat those mistakes. because I don't think, I think someone once told me that we should chase after success before significance first. And for a time, I believe that. But now I think that it doesn't have to be the reverse. It can be one after the other, step by step by step by step. It can be, I think it can be done together. And I think that's how but that's just me.
Oo.
Maybe some people
Pero,
will,
you know, the way I see it, I don't see you as losing 2019. I mean, you were creating impact, influencing so many people, and advocating environmental awareness, 'di ba? So that's also a lot of thing. It's not a year loss. It's also a year that you have done so much impact to others. Siguro yung cause lang is that medyo nagdwindle down yung
yeah.
personal relationships or yung personal life. But it wasn't a year loss, the way I see it. So ano lang, balance lang. It was just a year naman eh. And then after that, then ano na ulit, nothing in life naman is linear eh. Sometimes, 'di ba, sabi mo nga, pasulpot-sulpot. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
But really interesting, nakakatuwa. I mean, well, I am not really surprised because you have been a deep person ever since. I met Mikey
Pala.
way back in 2012. And
Yeah.
yeah, he was already so deep back then. Eh, ang bata-bata pa, bata pa namin nun, di ba? Siya naman, mas lalo pa. But then, not really surprised that you have been discerning about 2019 so much. I am sure it really was very exhausting for you as well to go on different activities just to promote the card game and the advocacy.
Well, sige. Thank you for that glass half full view. No? It's simple. I also acknowledge that, no, deep in my heart. Kasi again, that success did pave the way for more successes, for more achievements. It allowed me to survive the pandemic. Ano naman yun? It did balance out. But I guess moving forward, the reason I not really obsessed, no, but the reason I keep reflecting back on that lost year, as I'd like to label it, is just to remind me of what's truly important. Because to begin with, what got me to that point where I could be a game designer to freely pursue my goals were the people, um, my family, my friends who got behind me. Yun nga, there's that ironic twist that the very same people who supported me, who helped me get to where I am, these were the first people to suffer from that success, no? So that's why I always frame it as a sort of a cautionary tale. Even if people would say, "Oh, it's so inspiring," yeah, but I just want to make sure that people don't overly focus on that, no. And I guess just to give a concrete example of that, no. After the game came out, and a lot of younger people, no, people younger than me, who aspired to do the same, they would get so excited. They would get so excited and then go off into the wild on their own and do things on their own. And I think that's one of my regrets, that at one point I got so focused on the success narrative. So I went through that phase as well, that I was so focused on the success narrative, on my journey to the top, that they might have glossed over the part where I suffered a lot, or maybe I didn't give that part as much as the attention as I should. So that's why I'm very careful right now whenever I share my story, that to make sure to balance it, to make sure that people understand uh, what it means to actually pursue something. So yun lang naman, no? But yeah, thank you for guiding me back to the glass half full perspective. No? And that's why I need friends. Okay, that's why I need friends. I also tend to withdraw and dwell or wallow in the sadness.
Oo. Hindi, maybe kasi I'm coming from the point na at the end of the day, it's really my relationship with God. That's the most important. Did I serve God? Did I glorify God through my actions? So, and I acknowledge that everyone around me, they also have their own individual journeys, even if where we're journeying together, meron pa rin silang mga sarili nilang journeys, di ba?
That's
So, I also have to accept that I can't be there 100% for the people that I love. And that's something that I already have acknowledged and accepted for several years. But what's more important for me is how do I best serve God? What am I called to do? Am I answering that calling? If I don't answer it, then that would make me feel a bit, okay, hindi ko na maximize yung resources na binigay sa akin, or hindi ko na, parang hindi ko na show yung gratitude ko for what it is that I have. And those kinds of things. So but I understand where you're coming from, because you're really a loving person and you care so much about the people around you, even if hindi siya masyadong visible for others, but deep inside you really care and you really want to also give part of yourself to others, because that's also important. Hindi naman mawawala yun eh. So naiintindihan kita. Yun yung point. And
sabi yung
it's
talk show vibe natin, no? Parang cue dramatic music tayo dito.
no,
Okay,
it's
thank you
amazing
for
that
that. Thank you for that.
you're also, I can see where you're coming from. I guess that's also the beauty in talking with Mikey or other fellow LD companions, because everyone is very discerning, and I guess I also miss that part, kasi I've with everything in my life, 'di ba? Kahit naman ako, Mikey, sobrang sub-sub ako sa PhD with all my work, and minsan nga sa family weekends na lang nga eh, 'di ba? So sabi ko, how can I still give pa to LD? But I really love LD. That's where my spiritual journey started, and it has, I have grown with LD. So there's this part of me that also wants to serve back, but sinasabi ko na sa sarili ko, all in God's time. As of
Yeah,
now, hindi pa. Gano'n
definitely.
naman eh, 'di ba? Bumabalik-balik lang naman tayo when the time is right again.
I guess one of the gifts as well of our retreat group, no, of our little fellowship in LD, is that we can also be living examples. No? Although I'm no longer in a serving capacity, there are still teachings that I try to live out. There are still some aspects of what we learned together that I still apply in my daily life. No? And in that way, I still serve. No, I believe, no, or maybe it's just something I tell myself to sleep better at night. No, but I've also seen our friends who were very ardent servants who are always there, and even if they're not in a serving capacity anymore, there's still that warm welcome whenever
Mm.
we encounter them, whenever they're invited and they show up, just to be there, and we hear where they've been, how they've been, and where they are now. It's as if they've set out into the world, and they went in that direction, being a living example of the teachings that we've been given in life's directions. So that brings me comfort, no? And also that gives me certainty, no? That our time spent serving together in a community has borne fruit. And I think one of the things that I think this is something we've also advocated before, and has been explicitly told us that we're not really supposed to stay for too long in one place. Just really go out there into the world and be a light to all nations, as
Oo.
one passage.
Yeah. I completely agree to that because, there was a time when I've been serving for several years, and there came a time when I know that I'm already being called to do something else, and yet I still held on to LD because it's comfortable. It's such a nice thing to be surrounded by people who are all contemplatives in action, so to speak. So, talagang ano 'yun, talagang I held on to it until I realized that it's already a disservice. Kasi when I'm there, it's not like I'm fully there because I have to, my mind is elsewhere, or my energy is not as, as high as at it should be when I serve. So parang naging disservice tuloy. So parang sabi ko, hindi, it's already time. I'm already being called to do something else. So that's when I've let go. So sabi ko, parang life lesson rin lang, no? How to let go of something that you really love. Lalo na pag ang strong ng attachments. But of course, my love for LD and all the volunteers of LD will always remain. Di naman nawawala yun. It has shaped me to, it has in some ways shaped me to be who I am right now as well. So my immense gratitude to Father Ted rin, saka of course, ipa-plug ko na nga dito bago ko makalimutan. LD has a retreat this coming June. If you're interested to know more about it, message nyo lang ako. I'm saying this to those who are watching sa community ko, of course, and friends of Mykey who would be interested to the Life's Directions retreat. Something that everyone everyone should go to if you're going through something in life. Very eye-opening siya.
Yeah, definitely. It was
Mm-mm.
a pivotal moment, so to speak, for me.
Parang lahat
When
naman tayo no? Parang, oo, pivotal moment din siya for me.
when we accepted that invite, yun na yun eh. That was the start.
Mm-mm. Pero with all the things that have gone through, like let's say you have mentioned 2020 and 2021, what are the lessons that you have learned that, made you who you are right now? Kasi lahat naman ng experiences sa life, di ba? It all has an impact to who we are. And in what way has God, shaped you to be this person right now because of what happened during 2020-21?
Okay, so those 2 years, no, were years spent in fear, worry, and anxiety. It really got me in touch with my own mortality as a person, someone with a limited lifespan. Kasi no matter how many achievements we have in life, time always wins. Okay? No matter how many times we win in life, in this life, time will always win. It's just faster than us. So, and again, with the friends I lost, like really passed on, it made me think back on what I will leave behind. Not so much the trophies, the things I created, but what experiences will I leave behind? The people that matter. What good would have I made in the world, credited or not? And in fact, there's very little things that will be credited for, and those things that we are credited for actually end up not doing as much as we imagined or perceived it to be. And it was also during the 2 years.
Di mo naman malalaman yan kung yung credited for ba hanggang dyan lang. Siyempre, pag alis natin dito, meron pa yan impact
Exactly, no? But I guess the point I wanted to make was, statistically, we do a lot more things that are uncredited. It's those small things that add up talaga. The things that happen behind the scenes, the struggles inside your own room, what people don't see when you're at your lowest, when you're at your worst. I think more often than not, we're that. And I think it's something that I've learned how to show to people. Because I think those are the things that really add up. The cracks in the armor that formed when we were all stuck at home, struggling with ourselves. That's also that's also one of the teachings, the learnings that I had. The message shown to me was, well, the pandemic, the lockdown, the time spent with the fear, worry, and anxiety, the mortality, that should not make us harder once we emerge. Diba? I think the more important thing for us is to show those come out of this lockdown, which technically isn't over now, but to come out of this crisis as we are exposed by everything that happened, and use that as a foundation for what we really want to leave behind. The things unseen, the things uncredited for are a lot greater, a lot more more numerous than anything will ever be given credit for. And those add up, and those would become the sum total of experiences that I think will be more valuable. What goes on behind, what goes unseen, except by a few people. Because I think in the twilight of our lives, will really be measured not by what we've made, but by how much we have loved, and how we love when we're not being seen, how we love when we're not visible to many people, the unseen love, whether it's something that you express privately or intentions just manifesting into something. That's what will be better.
Alam mo, on now that you're sharing that, yung experience ko kasi of the past 2 years was really positive. Parang mas lumabas pa ako. Alam mo yun? Parang yung mas lumabas pa yung tunay na ako. Yun yung nangyari. And it was a very, very positive experience. And of course, I acknowledge that not everyone has a positive experience. You have shared that you experience fear, anxiety, worry, which is also the norm for majority. But the realization that you have right now, you're your natural you right now. Parang because of that experience, nawala yun. Kailangan lang mawala yung hindi tunay na ikaw para lumabas yung totoong ikaw. Which is, I think, also a good thing. Nakakatuwa siya na kailangan mo pang pagdaanan yun para lang lumabas yung totoong ikaw.
Definitely.
Saka yung I love what you said that to simply love, whether it's being seen or not, whether it's being expressed in a way that we expect it or not, just to love. That's as simple as it is, because in our most natural state we are love, and we really are meant to love, whether it's our work or other people. We are expressions of God's love. So I love what you've said, and I can definitely resonate to it. Of course, yung pinagdaanan natin to realize that space or that state syempre iba-iba na, di ba? Depende na sa journey natin. But what's important is that we have realized it, that it's really important to love and to be loved and accept it, di ba? Parang ganun lang naman. So, kamusta ka naman going forward, o di ba? Knowing these things. Kasi these are also significant things that you have gone through. You have enjoyed success, and then you have seen the downside of success when you were simply so focused on it, you forgot a lot of things then sa peripherals. But then, pandemic came and you realize na, okay, this is it. Ano ba yung dapat iwan? Kasi ang dami ng malis na mga kaibigan at loved ones, di ba? Because of it. But now you are you. Where do you see yourself going given the journey that you have gone through in recent years?
Yung half-serious answer ko, gusto ko na mag-retire.
Pwede rin. Totoo ba yan? Knowing you, parang malabo ata yun.
Can I just paint miniatures for the rest of my life? And keep on making little toy soldiers and, and keep making nice, wonderful stuff that I don't need to sell, creating for creating's sake. Okay, that's my half-serious answer that I want to retire. But what I want people to take away from that desire of mine is that I want to get to the point where I can just start making again for myself. That's the goal. Because I'm a game designer. And the reason I became a game designer was because I wanted to create games for myself that I can enjoy with my friends. But now, I'm at that point where I'm creating games for others, for their needs, for their advocacies, for my personal benefit as well, because it's my income, it's how I'll survive. But projecting myself in the future, I do want to get to a point where I no longer need to, I can just create for myself. I'm looking for that time because I think at my core, I just really want to create. Yes, the productivity will always be there. The creativeness, the creativity will always be there. The creative energy, it's something I want to keep throughout my entire life. But at a certain point, I want to direct that creative energy back to myself and the people closest to me. I want to go back to the original intention because honestly, I haven't made a game for myself in a long time. And it's something that even actually
Pawikan Patrol is a game you created because of your advocacy for conservation, di ba?
That's true. It was originally for myself. It was originally for myself. It was originally for my personal advocacies. And in a way, yeah, there's also for the communities. Because that's really where I want to be. Serving in the communities. That's a personal thing. But at a certain point, I lost that part of the game. It suddenly became something for others. Something I'm promoting for others. Something I need to sell. Because if I sell it, more money, more projects, more recognition. Recognition leads to more projects. Projects for other people who will pay me. So it's an endless cycle. So that's where I want to be eventually moving forward. And I think the question is supposed to be my next step. And what I'm saying is way into the future. But in terms of the next steps, I only see the next project kasi. Diba?
And okay lang yan. Papakita rin naman sa'yo unti-unti eh.
Yun nga, and I see the next project. So I'm looking at my whiteboard and it's all the projects that I'm about to undertake for the rest of the year.
Wow.
So, but I always remind myself that it's all about the end game. In the end game, it's about going back to the start. This is a problem that many of us in the creatives industry have. We used to just enjoy our art. We used to just enjoy writing, drawing, building. playing. But when it became our work, when it became attached to our worth in society, no? It became our role. It became our designated role in society. We we yearn to go back to the time when it's no longer a role, it's no longer a profession. It's just who we. It's a part of our core that makes us happy. Our venue for self-expression. It's you ask any illustrator, who's been in the industry long enough now, they'll tell you the same thing. They miss drawing for themselves. They miss just doing things for the sake of it, art for art's sake. But such as the cycle of commercializing art, and it gets to us. It gets to us, and that's why we also take long breaks. And even those long breaks are not enough because we know that we can pursue this personal thing for a time, but pretty soon we'll be called back to our deadlines, and then we end up with a personal project that's half baked, half finished, shelved, and then those add up. Makikita mo yan. Meron kaming pile of regrets. Whether it's
Ganon.
madami.
I guess I suppose the lesson there is to still say yes to life, but according to your standards.
Yeah, definitely. We just have to remember all the time that we want to go back to the start. What gave us this job, what gave us this income, the recognition. We're looking forward to the time when we can forget about all of that and just go back to doing it for its own sake. Yun yung aming...
I suppose, Mikey, right now, what's happening is you're finding your middle point.
I'm getting to my middle ages soon. So, yeah.
Oo. Yung middle, yung middle ground mo, you're trying to find that. You're balancing it. Yung mga expectations for you, expectations from you ng industry. Ganun industry yung tawag eh. It is an industry. So the expectations from you, diba? I mean the expectations from the industry and what it is that you really want to create for yourself. You're finding that middle ground. And I hope that you do. Kasi sometimes the shift just happens. The shift in perspective happens and you just be surprised. But this is a good place. This is a good place. It's a good starting point.
I believe so as well. The fact that I'm already talking like this, na hindi na lang ako sobrang obsessed about, yeah, I gotta do this. Ganun ako dati.
Pero alam mo, ang galing nun ang galing nun. Ang galing nun, yung pagiging hyper-focus. They're really, I admire that in people, the ability to hyper-focus because that's the path to success. But yun nga, as you've said, pag tuloy-tuloy yung hyper-focus, there are downsides as well. So, you're trying to find that balance kung saan. But, don't get rid of it kasi it's a gift. Not everyone has it. And, some people like me pray for hyper-focus.
It's a process. And even though it's a gift, I think there are other gifts din naman that are a better fit. In a way, I also get jealous of people who can, just spread out and give just enough, tamang sakto lang. But that's a gift that's for them, and just being around them at least gives me a reminder na, ay, oo nga pala. Yung laser natin, babaan mo na nating intensity. Baka kasi masunog na yung baka masunog na yung papel na iniilawan ko. Gets? Use a metaphor. Nakakasunog, hindi lang kasi ang hyper-focus kasi it doesn't just burn out the person shooting out that laser, that hyper-focus laser. It can also burn through other things. And preno, intensity, longevity, yan. So
Yes.
I guess to put my goals in more achievable, na smart goals tayo, no? Achievable, realistic and time bound, no?
Mm-mm.
Art lang, ART lang. Walang SM. ART lang. Although SM ang boss ko ngayon. Okay, joke lang sa aking sa aking
Mm-mm.
boss. Okay. The focus on the gradual shift to longevity.
Yeah,
Sustainability.
that's a good goal.
Mm-mm.
Yung sustainability para naman di ka laging napapagod or you won't reach that empty well and you'd settle down there for quite a while. Finding sustainability. I mean, everyone is. I think that's where we really are going. How to sustain the things that we have. So given that this is your place right now, ano pa yung mga components na kailangan to be sustainable, to be happy and at peace with all your achievements? Kasi you've done that.
Sige. I think this would be the final component.
Mm-mm.
Being aware of, I always go back to this, no? Diba? I said that time always wins. Time always wins. So the sensitivity to time is also important. I tend to forget that everything that happened to me has only happened within a span of 5 years. Parang ganun. And I think that's also a product of the new technologies and the new media that we are immersed in. We barely notice the passage of time. And
Yeah,
di ba? And
time
we
is
are
really
led to believe.
fast.
Huh?
Time is really fast.
Di ba? And we're led to believe that we need to do things fast. That we need to do more. No? But we always go back to the age-old wisdom and something that we talk about all the time we used to talk about in life's directions and I think until now, no? Everyone at their own pace, no? Everyone
Yes.
at their own pace. So I think now that I'm in a space where I can look back and say, oh ano, I'm I've done so much in such a short time. What am I doing? what am I doing? What am I doing? Parang ano na.
There's a lot of growth. Yun yung nangyari.
That's yeah. And then I think that's also important. That the pace, no? Pacing is very important.
Oo.
Time always wins. So that final component is for me, and I think the most important, pacing. Pacing talaga.
Oo. Hindi, kung for a time, sobrang fast ka nga, then you'd want to take a pause or slow down, you're also entitled to that. So,
Yeah.
kanya-kanyang pace. Diba?
Corollary to that. Kanya-kanyang pace, di ba?
Mm. Ano ba talaga ang pace mo? Yun yung tanong.
Sige, I guess corollary to that component, pace. I go back all the time to the analogy of running or at least training for a marathon.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Sometimes you need a pacer. A
Mm-mm.
pacer is someone who runs with you, no, who can help set your pace. For example, and I used to have that, like an actual pacer, no, who I used to train with. If he's going too fast, this is what he tells me all the time. Oh, Mikey, if I'm going too fast for you, tell me to slow down. If I see you accelerating, I'll keep up with you. So, laging ganun. So, along with pace, and yeah, I'm advocating for pacing, di ba? To find your own pace. But admittedly, it's not something you'll find out on your own. without difficulty. No? And that, again, we go back to mentors, we go back to companions. Everyone needs a co-pilot, di ba? Sabi sa Up in the Air, everybody needs a co-pilot. And I still believe that. No? You'll never find out your pace if you're alone. If you don't run with someone, you don't have a companion. So I said one component, but it's actually one component that need na may attach, may appended thing. A companion to help set the pace. If you have that, I don't think you'll go wrong. You know? So like this is a pacing moment. This is a mentoring moment. You know? You inviting me to be here to talk with you, to talk with everyone who's watching this. No? So unfortunately, this isn't a live conversation with the viewers. But in a way, Brendy, and to everyone watching, this is an example of a pacing moment. You know? Have people around you to remind you na, uy, baka may time ka naman for this. And then suddenly, preno tayo konti. No? And not just because it's for that person, no, not just to please that person, but also because deep down we know that we need it. You know, we need to stop and have a chance to reflect.
Definitely. I agree to that. Di rin ako matututo ng ganun kabilis if I don't have people around me who are constantly, reminding me of what it is that I'm doing that I'm not aware of. It helps for people, around me to tell me things that yung usually hindi ko nakikita, sila yung nagsasabi. So I agree to that, to having companions. And I'm really grateful that you have said yes to this. Of course, and of course for the favored ones, I hope that you also have gained, some value or insight from these conversations. In life there's no straight line naman eh. Talagang minsan akyat baba, or minsan horizontal yung lakad mo or zigzag, 'di ba? But then, when you're journeying with companions, be it temporary companions or permanent companions, life becomes, more colorful and you tend to grow despite the missteps that we have done. Di ba? Hindi naman nawawala yun eh. But, at the end of the day, lahat yon God's plan. Lahat yan God's plan. And wala naman talagang mali, di ba? Kung titignan natin yan from the eyes of God. Everything was the way it should have been, or is the way it should be going on. So,
Walang sayang.
walang sayang, walang mali. And it's really up to us to see the beauty or the learnings in every situation that we find ourselves in or found ourselves in. But with that, I'd like to thank Mykey for, of course, for your time. Thank you so much. Napaalis kita from your lungga kahit sandali.
Nandito pa rin naman sa aking lungga.
But right now we're in this space, di ba? But really, really grateful to have you here. And of course, I'll close this one if you have, learned something or you find this insightful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit like. I don't often, it's not often that I advertise the YouTube channel, but I'm starting to. So please subscribe and share it to your friends if you have gained something from this conversation. And of course, I wish you all well. God bless everyone. And to Mykey, alam mo naman, you have yung love ko na sa'yo pa rin. So
right back at you.
We'll always be companions. Kahit na hindi ganun ka-regular yung pag-uusap, it's easy to always catch up and to jump into each other's lives, and of course to share what it is that's going on in our life. So thank you so much for giving this time to share your insights and to share this journey that you have right now.
Thank you for having me over, Brendy. And thank you to everyone who supports her channel, her stream. Ano lang, I was there during the early days, no? When this Facebook page pa, no? This Facebook page was
Oo.
in its
Yeah.
early stages. I was watching the earlier episodes, and then, as is the case, nawawala ako. But to the loyal viewers of Soul Talks, tama, no?
Oo.
Hindi lang talaga. And also
Yes.
Soul Reflection. No? And also Soul Reflections. Thank you for supporting this wonderful person. And she deserves all of that in now in the coming years. So, yun.
Oh, thank you, Mikey. All right. Thanks, everyone. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Have a great week.